Hello and welcome to episode 41 of the Money Talks. And we've got a very special guest in here today, somebody that started out trying to create a massive impact and has diversified into creating an enormous impact. And so without further ado, I welcome Ganesh Sonawane of Arcatron Mobility. Ganesh, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Anirudh. I'm delighted to be here.
So Ganesh, I know we've got a lot of things to cover today, so I'm going to get right to it. But maybe to start us off, you could give us a bit of a background about yourself and about Arcatron as well, and then we'll come back to what it does.
Yeah, so I'm Ganesh, co-founder and CEO of Arcatron Mobility. So I'm basically a mechanical engineer from NIT Calicut and very passionate about solving unmet social needs in a sustainable and scalable manner. So I was born in Dadar, Mumbai, grew up around Thane, studied in Kerala, and then work brought me to Pune. So at Arcatron, we are building a company that is like I like to call it building elder care products in one of the youngest countries in the world. And we are mainly into assisted living. So when I say assisted living, it is activities of daily living. So like walking, even sleeping. So we make premium shower commode wheelchairs, which enables a person to take from bed to bathroom in a easy and a convenient manner.
So but I realized while you obviously did doing this as a business, but you had a passion for this very early. You did a project back in school where you designed for disabled or designed for the differently abled, and like was there a personal motivation for this? Like what made you so excited about this space?
So when we were in college, it was mostly about we were from a club called as Club Unwired. So it was a bunch of guys who would like to build physical products and just make things work, and that used to give us joy. So it started from a glider aircraft, and then it moved to an RC aircraft. We built a car. Our juniors started building drones. So it was more like building a tech culture. So that was before Three Idiots came in, and then it was something which we realized that we are doing it for the sheer joy of making things work. But then there was a contest called as Avishkar. So this is one of the slides when we were giving a presentation. So the problem statement was designed for disabled. So we primarily went there because the prize money was good. We didn't even know what the need or what kind of a problem statement it was. And then they showed us a video that a lady who's strong enough to drive her own wheelchair but cannot go to bathroom. We found it pretty crazy because we were all into robotics and very advanced mechanical stuff, and then we find such an easy thing not being solved. So we couldn't believe it. We went back and Googled around and then figured out that this is really solved like decades back in US, in UK, in Australia, in so many advanced economies. But I couldn't understand why the solutions didn't exist in India. So we built a prototype in that contest, and then actually we saw real users using that product. So the difference was this was the first product we built for someone else. So the other products which we were doing, it was for ourselves, like the RC crafts, because we used to enjoy it. But this was something where we built a wheelchair and we saw people who were excited about using it and becoming independent for their bathroom use, for standing up on their own. So once we had that first set of user trials, the very ability, once I think an entrepreneur understands, a person understands that he can actually change a fundamental aspect of someone's life. Like I can actually, with our prototype, we can mobilize someone who's restricted to a bed and they can go to bathroom because something we built. So that gave us a very good feeling, a powerful feeling, and that was something like a kickback which still exists. And we try to figure out such problem statements, by virtue of which we can actually change fundamental things around us.
And I think you did very well in the college competition, as I know. and you were also probably looking at, you were offered some grants, but you decided not to, pursue the project right then. You went and joined Bajaj, worked there for I think a couple of years, I believe. But what was the reason why? I mean, many entrepreneurs, and again, 2011 is when you graduated, so I know that was very early in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. But many people started out, right? Did you ever feel while you were at Bajaj that maybe I should have started out in 2011?
Oh, not even once. So I was aware, like even we were very clear early on because it was just a college project. There was never a company in my mind, and I think until we incorporated. So this was just like a project. We were given grants to convert into a product, and and they were telling that form a startup around it. But we were clear that we are just a bunch of engineers who understand how to build prototypes. We don't even know how to build a product, and then bringing it to market and building a sustainable company around it for a niche audience. I didn't think there was any scope out there, I mean, in terms of building a company. So it was only when we came in Bajaj a couple of years down the line, over weekend projects, we discovered something I would like to share later on. I mean, that eventually got us into the company. So we were clear that we were not prepared for building a company from college.
Before we come to Arcatron and how you started, like with your weekend projects, tell us a little bit about your what you were doing for Bajaj. How long were you there? And what do you take away from your experience at Bajaj?
So Bajaj was like came into our college for research and development hiring. So across all functions, they are the most stringent for R&D hiring, and like they are the highest paid in the company for freshers. So there was intense competition when they had come in. And like there's an interesting thing I would like to share, that Bajaj has a contract of sorts, unofficial, with NITs, that it will be the first company to go for hiring or it will not go. So because it wants the entire lot of mechanical engineer, and it wants to really choose across. So it normally beats all the automotive company packages to get this happen. So while we were getting hired, so out of 105, two of us got hired. So they're told that you're already very good, but we have an incentive policy in place, and if you really want to get it, you have to outdo yourself. You have to work very hard and get that. So first couple of months into Bajaj was more like training. We were sent across different facilities, dealerships. They were just giving us an idea of how the entire company works, how R&D coordinates with manufacturing, coordinates with dealers and distributors. So it was more like we were getting bored in the first few months. There was nothing much to do. Sure. Then when we came hands-on, when we really got into the job, the first day at work, so I got selected into design department. So only 5 out of 50 got selected in design. All others were given supplementary functions like CAD and create drawings and all of that. So we were the only 5 who got into design. And then uska prerequisite tha ki you have to first spend 1 year into testing and validation, where you actually get your hand dirty with the vehicles. So first day at work, we go there, and the first task that I was into a 3-wheeler department, so I've been given a couple of spanners, and they told you have to open this entire auto rickshaw. So I was like, how do you open an auto rickshaw from tires? Bring out everything.
That is an amazing way of teaching someone. So were you able to pull it all apart?
Yeah, we did. I was able to do it. I just got an operator to help me, कि bolts कहाँ पे इसके छुपाए हुए रहते हैं auto में. So it's a very fantastical design. When we build prototypes, you are able to see all the bolts, and it's very easy to dismantle. But heavily engineered products, and something which is sold in lakhs and lakhs of volumes, उसमें it's difficult to figure out how it's done. So basically, it was very much hands-on for the 1 year. So my job was basically designers would make design changes, and we have to validate if that design is working or not. So that is testing and validation before a pilot is launched. And auto rickshaws were the same for 20 years. So it had not changed one bit. what was given as a design by an Italian company to Bajaj, it was the same thing was going on till to 2012, unless until this new project started, which was called Facelift, which I was a part of. So usme there were new design changes being done. So every day I would interact with designers. Ki, okay, you did this design change. Why did you do that? And I would understand that what it takes for a design to be validated before it hits the market for something as
Wow.
successful as an auto rickshaw. Because auto rickshaw, Bajaj is the world's largest three-wheeler company, and it is bigger than any other company in the world for auto rickshaws. So it was a very high revenue generating machine for the company. So that was the initial bit of experience. So the way I thought they were validating us was our ability to test as many autos as possible. So there were 5 peers, and initially all of us got one auto. Then everyone got two autos. Then we would actually check how much is the tire wear and engine parameters and all of that stuff. So then at a point of time, I started
Wow,
managing.
but I mean, Bajaj has that level of detail looking into their product. Because
Absolutely.
most I don't think I would imagine 99% of Indians just believe that it's people just make autos and that's it. There's no engineering behind it.
Yeah, there's a lot of engineering. So it was like there was a point of time when I got 5 autos and my peers were at 2 autos. I thought I was so smart that I'm able to manage more than twice the work, and I had really my eye on that incentive, which was I guess 1.25 lakhs apart from the pay we had. So I really wanted to get that as a part of validation that I can be a high achiever. So I worked very, very hard. There were days when I would come back at home, and I sometimes I would skip dinner. I even had a faint episode because I was all day in the afternoon testing vehicles. And the year passed by, and the incentives ka time aaya, and I didn't get the incentive. So it was like
Wow.
so I was kind of surprised because I thought I think this is what the corporate bureaucracy is about. So I went all negative that ye galat hai. I was at double the pace than my peers. It's very visible. I have data. I was like the favorite out there. Actually, none of five of us में से किसी को नहीं मिला. It was in other departments that incentives were gone. But then I was just sitting around for a weekend, and I thought, maybe I'm wrong, and not the company. Where am I going wrong? So I started asking a different I thought I started thinking on a different note that kya galat hua, why didn't I get this? So then I thought कि I was doing what 2 GTs would do. GT is graduate trainee engineer. So मैं 4 auto rickshaws manage कर रहा था. तो if they would have hired instead of 51 GTs, तो उनका problem solve हो जाता. But if I look from
Correct.
a top view, Bajaj was a $10 billion company then. It had 11,000 crores sitting in its bank. So hiring another GT was never a problem for Bajaj. It was something. If I see it from a Rajiv Bajaj angle, he wouldn't even care what is happening with somebody managing a couple of autos more. So I felt very tiny that day. In terms of key, what am I doing? I used to think I am capable of doing so many things. On yahan pe I have become like such a tiny part of this giant organization. And then next year onwards, I changed my perspective. So I was like wanted to be really focused on solving problems, or rather focusing on something that my VPs are going sleepless about, or what is my CTO concerned about. So CTO
Yeah.
was like 15 grades ahead of me. So I was looking more from that angle, and then I started picking some problems which they were concerned about, and one of them being auto rickshaws. It didn't used to go straight. If you leave the steering, it would drift on one side. So it has a design problem which for a couple of decades, hundreds of engineers had tried with different root cause analysis and never got solved. I'm very proud to share that I worked over the problem statement for 2.5 years, and 1/3 of world's auto rickshaws today, they go straight because of design change we implemented over 2.5 years. So it was a steering
Wow.
issue, which was with the auto, and nobody knew what a steering geometry was, and nobody had tried to analyze a suspension geometry in auto design. So we got that done. We solved the wobbling issue done, and from second year to fourth year, I consistently got A plus bonuses. So I was like one of the top guys, and I was working like half than my peers. I used to be roaming around half the time. So that really made my mind clear that okay, asking the right questions and solving the right problems and working on the right things matters much more than working harder at trivial things, which really doesn't matter from a macro view.
No, so true. I think at the end of the day, productivity and problem solving, right? There are two different aspects to look into. And my mentor back in the day used to say that people that make the most money solve the biggest problems, right? And so I'm so glad you figured that out with your experience, and the experience obviously which started with a failure, right? But actually led to a success. And all your three co-founders alongside you, how did you rope them in?
So all of them were part of Team Unwired, whom I spoke about, like the college tech group. So
Did you guys ever think that 5 or 6 years later that Team Unwired would come back together?
not really. It was something which was more like it came. It just happened. I mean, it was not planned that ऐसा कभी करेंगे आगे जाके. I just saw the opportunity and I figured out. Like in college also, we all used to work together and we knew each other's weaknesses. So I was good at something. My other team members, everyone had their strength area. So even during founding the team, I knew that there is electronics which I know nothing about. So we need to rope in Lakshmikant, who's like a brainiac CTO. I mean, he had built so many cool projects in college. So Lakshmikant came in. So there was Kunal. So Kunal was like, when it came to mechanisms, he used to bring in such simple ideas. Even for Arcatron, the two patents we have are designs of Kunal, because he would really simplify the design to a such an extent that it became patentable 2 times. Devaj was someone who would integrate on many other aspects. He had a creative insight, and in college days, at least, he used to be my counterpart. I mean, in areas where I would not be able to see things, he would come in and, we two will make a good team. So he was one of my best friends in college. So I just, we built the whole suit, and it was purely, even while founding, it was a full-fledged tech team that we formed. It was not really a team to build a company, but I was still myopic in that sense and only thinking about, building products one after the other.
And who was the business guy amongst you four?
Me.
You.
Yeah.
So good. You guys so did you think about this as a team when you're putting it together, that I need all these aspects covered? Because I know business, but I need all these other aspects, or did it just sort of happen?
So I really, I mean, there is one bad advice that we had got, or I used to believe that this thing is true, but it was not. It was not. Though, so the only I had this disbelief that if you really are able to build world class products, baki sab ho jayega. Like the sales will happen. The sales will just people will come and buy. So, which was like a huge blunder. I mean, the whole assumption proved out to be a huge issue. So we were not really thinking from a business end much early on, and just trying to ensure that we have a very strong tech team in place.
So then you finally decide, okay, I've got my product, right? I'm going to go to market. What do you think? What did you think at that time was the USP for Arcatron?
So we were building initially. Let me just take you back, if you may allow.
Sure, please go ahead. This is your show.
So, like just after incorporating Arcatron, we started going in this, medical expos where products were demonstrated by multinational companies, and we would go there. And I observed something strange. That in India, in Mumbai, there is an expo going on, and there are these MNCs where Indian managers are standing, and they would boast that, we never sell Indian or Chinese products. So we were in the same bucket as Chinese, and they are cheap. They are third-class products, and we only deal in German products. Someone would say we only deal with Swedish products, and I got triggered there. So it was like, I almost had a fight with someone out there when I made him gave some patriotic speech of sorts and got emotional and looked into the facts that how can you say this while being an Indian, and we are going to change it and all of that. So we had not even got started there. So, but I came back and realized that the ecosystem or the history of Indian medical device companies are responsible for these people saying this, because we have not had a single good company come out in this space. When I say good company, I mean a brand which is global, a product which people aspire for, or they really find it good in different markets. So there was zero companies who had done this in the entire medical devices, assisted living and mobility devices. So that was something which struck very strongly to us. So when we internally discussed, it was like, if we ever want to build a very important company in medical devices space, we have to break the stigma around Indian
Yeah.
brands. So we approached building the company hypothesis by hypothesis. So the first hypothesis for which we wanted to solve is, can we build a product which will be bought by premium clients in India, like the big hospitals and the most premium buyers, and which will also be sought out in the most advanced economies in the world. So, because this has never happened before. Okay, and so this was the problem statement, and we already had an active problem statement in India, that going to bathrooms from a bed for a bedridden person was a big challenge, for a spinal cord injured was a huge challenge. So mix match that, and we had a product idea ready that, okay, let's build a world-class shower and commode wheelchair. So the branding name just came off Fredo. So Fredo is like freedom to do more, and so it would allow a person to get out of the bed and go to the washroom alone. So that like Fredo is
Oh,
for everything.
wow.
Free
And
gives
then,
freedom.
in fact, there's already a first question. I think since we're talking about names, I'll take the question from Rohan. Rohan asks that why the name Arcatron? Does it mean something?
Yeah, it does. So Arcatron. So when we there are actually two ways to look at it. So Arcatron is when we were getting started, we knew that this was almost mission impossible. Trying to build an elder care product company for niche products out of India, that too having like global ambitions. We knew that this is going to take massive, brutal efforts, and it's going to be really, really challenging. So Arcatron stands for, it has a biblical reference. So it stands for a tool that has infinite power. So we knew that even our end users have infinite willpower to have a good life in a wheelchair, and we would also need that kind of infinite willpower and infinite powerful tool to make this dream true. So that is what Arcatron stands for. Also, if you break it into two half, arc plus tron, it means accelerating wheels. So arc and tron is a suffix used for anything that arc goes fast. So accelerating wheels. So
Oh,
two meanings.
wow. Very interesting. Very, very engineered kind of a name, right?
So yeah, we were forced to do that because we really needed a .com domain and a single word.
Good one. So besides the wheelchair device for the shower and commode, is there other products that Arcatron is building or was building?
So we have a whole pipeline in terms of mobility devices. We are mostly looking at which are the areas which deserve the maximum attention, because we have observed that the harder the problem that you are solving, the more word of mouth you get, the more respect and admiration you get in the.
Can you tell me a little bit about this picture? Who are the people that are in this picture?
So these are our most, all of them are from Indian Army. They
Oh,
were
wow.
injured. Most of them were injured during Kargil. So the picture is from PRC Pune, Paraplegic Rehabilitation Center in Khadki. So I was telling you about the international premium product building hypothesis. So when we built Fredo and we were interacting with PRC, so PRC, these are Indian Army soldiers, and they told me that since Kargil they have never used an Indian product. So I was surprised. There were at least a few good companies in this. They are the patriots, and even they didn't find any Indian wheelchair good enough to use it. So Fredo was the first Indian wheelchair, which now is with every single one of them at PRC. So this is the first product which got approved at military rehabilitation center. So that actually goes back to proving our first hypothesis that if we build a product, will it be used by the premium client? So now Indian Army, they get donations from all across. They are plush on funds. They just want the best products for their community. So we were very glad when Fredo got approved there, and almost
Hats off to you, man, Ganesh. I am so excited about the direction and the fact that you're serving our armed forces and people that are representing us and defending us at the border. I mean, there cannot be a better feeling than this. You could become a unicorn, a decacorn, or any kind of corn for that matter. But being able to get the freedom, give the freedom of movement to people who give us the freedom of expression, right, and allow us to express it. I think there's hats off to you, man. Hats off to you and the entire team of Arcatron for that.
I would
Really.
like to thank you as well, because if it was not for your support during early days, it may be a small amount at that point of time, but it really helped us realize this vision. Because the use of funds from the IN funding round, our objective was just to build this product and sell 100 units of this. That's it. So we were pretty sure we were going to raise another round of funding. So
so maybe we should talk about that. You had a very interesting recollection yesterday, right? And so you build this company. You've got your first order, and obviously it's a very prestigious order to work with the Indian Army. The first campaign though you did was on Indiegogo, right? So and that was the first. I think many founders don't realize the power of it. But maybe you could tell us, like, how did you come up with this idea that I'm going to go to Indiegogo and do crowdfunding for my product?
So there was a bit of a twist there. I mean, we did sign up on Indiegogo. We made a profile there, but before even launched the campaign, we realized that we already have enough pre-orders to seal this up. Even if we get more pre-orders, we won't be able to make it. So
I see.
We wanted to get 100 pre-orders, and our prototypes were so good, and they were just flowing across spinal cord injury groups, and so we completed our target even before going live on Indiegogo. So
wow, that is amazing. So then how did you fund that? Like, how did you decide that you needed money, obviously, to start building? Right. So tell us a little bit about that fundraising journey, and maybe we can also discuss how we met at the very start of this.
So pretty early on, 2016, like 15, we incorporated. 16, we had a contest at Surge by Web Summit in Bangalore, which was like 400 startups across India were participating. So we won at Surge. The first prize, and Google was awarding us like the best startup. So we were all across media. So that really took off our attention from what we were trying to build, and rather look into this jazzy world of VCs. So we were getting emails from almost every VCs. There was inbound interest to come and meet and what you're trying to build. So all of that was happening, and then Web Summit invited us to Lisbon. So since we were the regional winners, we had that black access band, and I remember getting into the VC lounge, and I remember seeing you and Suyash. I said, no, these look Indian. Let's go and touch base. So I didn't know you before, so I just said hi, and you were like all in suit, boot, tie, ekdam. So they said, "Oh, I'm Anirudh from Artha. Have you heard about Artha?" So I was like, "No, I have not heard about Artha. Oh, we have funded like a dozen startups. We are building 100 crore fund and all of that." So I was like, "Good to know. So you're from Mumbai." There was a basic discussion, but then you came across like what we are doing, and I told you we wanted to raise 4 crores at that point of time. So Suesh and you, after a bit of discussing, you're like, 4 crores is going to be insufficient. This is you should aim for more. This may underfund your company, and if you get stuck in the product development journey, this can backfire. So we're like, no, we have figured it out. 4 crore mein sab ho jayega, and that is what we want. But anyways, so that was a brief discussion. So, but when we came back and started raising funds, one of our mentors was from IN, so IN took
Mm.
us ahead, and at the point of time, uh, we just saw the breakup of where the 4 crore was going to be used. So almost 2 crores was assigned for production development and manufacturing. So our mentor said, let me take care of this. I know I'll give you access to tools and factories, so we can take care of that, and you do the rest. So from 2, that somehow came to 1.5, because they were conservative regarding the kind of company we were. Such a company had never been funded
Yeah.
through angel networks. So we had set a very minimal expectation, not like a very big returns. Everybody knew that had a social impact element to it. But strangely enough, our deal got subscribed very, very fast in IN.
Yeah.
And I was also talking to you, but you had an international trip, and that didn't sync along. Otherwise, I think if we had discussion, maybe you would be participating in a bigger manner. But raising 1.5 when we had planned 4 was like a big blunder, because that really didn't allow us to finish off the entire plan, and it was really playing on the edge. So the product development got stuck in between. It somehow just came to a level where we could call it as a pre-launch product and do a campaign. So that really was the beginning of the struggle for Arcatron, where, I mean, the very first step, which I remembered that nahi Anirudh ne bola tha ki, do not underfund. But we did it, and that kicked us back, and it really slowed us down in terms of how we progress from there.
Trust me, I rarely ever like to be right about these things, right? But it's just uncanny how right these things work out to be. But in between, can you tell us a little bit about this story with Saravana Kumar and the national level wheelchair table tennis player? I think there was something
So
very great that happened there. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's another thing that is like one of the fondest memories during building a company. So Saravana Kumar, I just remember seeing an email where a Paralympian is writing to us that basically he wanted to go and represent India in wheelchair table tennis. But this time he was not allowed with an additional caretaker, so he had to go alone with the team and coach. So normally they would get budget for 2 people. This time there was some shortage of budgets, and he was being forced to go alone with the coach. And he was like, I can do everything, but washroom access is my biggest concern. I cannot go to bathrooms alone. Okay, when outside, and if I don't fix this problem, I have heard that you're building something that can solve this problem, and if I don't get this, I will not get to represent India, at wheelchair table tennis. So I wrote him back that, Sarvan, we are building what you need, but we are not ready. We are like in a prototype stage, a slightly advanced stage of that. It's pilot, but it's nowhere as ready to send with you in a foreign country and you use it and then come back. So he's like, we had a couple of conversations. He said, even if there are some issues, it's fine, but you try and finish it. It's super important for me. So we left everything that we are doing. We really went back. We made 3D printing parts, and we finished that product. We tested it out. We
Wow.
went to home. My co-founder Kunal and my other team members, we went there, and we gave him the wheelchair. And then he tested it out there, and he found it to be perfect. And I'm happy to share that he went, represented India, used Fredo alone, went to bathrooms, and then finished the entire tournament, came back. And we were super happy when that happened.
Man. Wow. Wow. I mean, just amazing stories. Just amazing stories of enabling other people, empowering other people through your products. So, like, how were you able to get this thing together? Like, what was it? How did you motivate the team that we have to make this done, even though it was an impossible task?
So I think motivating people has a lot to do with calling for a common mission, or a common cause, and make them to believe that this cause is important enough for them to go all in. And getting a Paralympian to participate for India, I mean, that is dependent on whether or not he gets a Fredo. So that was something big for us, because whether we are able to finish this prototype into a product in time is going to determine whether Saravana Kumar represents India in an
Hmm.
international tournament. So that was a big cost, and we took it as a challenge, and then we made it happen, because that was exciting for everyone. That when Saravana Kumar came back and he shot a video with us, he left a page-long review in Google. You can read about it regarding his entire experience, and he shot pictures there. So I mean, it paid to us, and even economically, it proved out to be a very good decision. The pre-orders I was talking about, a large part of it came because Sarvan Kumar marketed for it, so we
Oh,
saved on the
wow.
marketing costs as well.
You were struggling, right? You were doing something great, but you were struggling at that time, and then COVID comes around, right? And suddenly everything seems to be, for 3 months, obviously everything is just falling apart, or it's already coming apart at that point. Tell us that feeling, like what was those 3 months like, and then what was that eureka moment that changed everything around?
So COVID was like a outlier event. It made us rethink the whole thing. So we were at a very good stage just pre-COVID. We had raised a small round, which was sufficient for us to, take us to a level where we can break even. At least the plan said so. But
And
then
that is the round done by mostly the doctors from Pune, from
correct,
what I remember.
correct,
Yeah.
correct, yeah. So then we had money, and imagine, like, just hiring before COVID, like our team went from a 30-member team, like including manufacturing and logistics, to a 42-member team, and then paying all the salaries and doing nothing for the first 2 months. So it was scary, frankly, initially. So I realized, and very early on, I started researching into the history of pandemics. I read a couple of books on previous pandemics, the last 500 years of what has happened, and I realized that a pandemic has never gone before 4 years. So the best hope we
Uh-oh.
have, the only difference was vaccine, which was not even talked about, and we humankind has never developed a vaccine in less than 5 years. So this is the first time you've got a vaccine in 1.5 years time. So there was no scope there. So I kind of assumed that COVID is going to be there for 3 to 4 years. It still is here. So, and when COVID is going on, a lot of your supply chain breaks. So we have like 120 parts in a wheelchair. So even if we keep our factory open, some or the other part is going to go out of stock. And we realize that we cannot operate if there is a lockdown imposed by COVID, even if we are a medical device company. So there has to be a way out. And so it was more from a survival perspective that we were looking at COVID related products, that if we can generate value here, and we figure out to market this, maybe we have a good chance of survival, because this is something, when COVID is on, you will always be allowed to sell COVID related products. Maybe wheelchair is down, if COVID goes off, we can chuck this and come back to the business. So that was like a hedge
Correct.
from an angle, that so whatever happens at any given point of time, you will have something to make and something to sell. So that was essential from a operational standpoint, from a survival standpoint. So it started with that thought, but very early on we realized that even this sector is very new. It had a lot of similarities with wheelchair, like masks were so bad early on, oximeters were so bad early on. We realized this is also same, there is a need for the right kind of products, and people don't know how to get it. So this is just and all of it is assisted living. Masks help you filter air and filter viruses and breathe, which is an activity of daily. Technically it's assisted living, and here the product ecosystem is broken. There are many new players who are coming in. So this is the same but 100x volume. So that was interesting. And like Neval says, if you learn to build and if you learn to sell, you will be unstoppable. So that,
Yep.
and we were in that phase where we really needed to learn to sell, and we really need to be make sales and marketing, digital marketing, as a stronghold, and not just stick to product. So the product range which we picked up early on, oximeter, it became the best seller in Amazon, and with masks, it took off. And we had this call for war within the company, that this is war. If we don't do this right, we will be no more, and then whatever we have planned for, everything is going to fall apart. So we have to do this right. Let's put all our efforts and really try to create value and learn how sales work, really serve the society. This is maybe gonna be like a demonstration for our team that can we really build a new product very fast and sell it while a thousand other sellers are trying to compete. So we try to really uh, test the sales and marketing hypothesis there, and we realized that we could do this well. Masks are a very competitive product now, and even then we are on the top of the charts at various different platforms. So that really solved the last piece of the puzzle. We had learned to build, and now we have learned to sell. So now Arcatron is unstoppable.
So tell us a little bit about the kind of sales you've done. Like, what's the sales growth been? If you can talk a bit about the volume, you could tell us a little bit about, like, I mean, I know that because I'm on the cap table, but just for the audience out there, like, how has, so all this effort, all this pain, all this burn that you've gone through for, you've been roasted for 4 years, and now you've finally been able to not only serve society, that's one of your common themes, and it's been one of your common objectives in all the projects you've done so far, but now you're also being able to create that into a sustainable business.
So 2019-20 we had like a 1 crore revenue. Like 2021 we had 5.5 crores, so we did 5x last year. And just last 2 months, like last this current quarter, we are at 8 crores. So
Wow.
we're probably going to be doing 25 to 30 crores this year. So from 1 to 5 to 25 is pretty much certain. So this is the time when we are going really fast. So there was a time when we were on the top of the charts for masks, and we did 3,500 orders in a single day. So our entire logistics team had gone crazy. They were like 3 printers continuously printing labels, and physically imagine 3,500 orders is in 10 hours time, every hour 350 dispatches. So it's you have to do one in seconds. It was very, very hard doing it from our own small office.
And I think you said it best yesterday, but I want to take you through it once again. Like, how does it feel now when your customers are actually the ones that are funding your business and not your investors?
So it gives you it said that you can do the best of your innovation when you're in a mind space where there is no fear, and that you can play along. It gives you much more confidence and conviction that you can sustain without taking investor money. So when you are raising fund, that this is taken from a 10x growth angle and not really sustainable angle. While if you look at all other previous fundings we have had, that was 70-80% done from a sustenance angle, and then 20 to 30% from doing something new. But now it's completely turned around. We don't have to depend on investor cash to sustain anymore. We are profitable. We are cash flow positive.
So if you're crystal gazing at this point, Ganesh, where do you see yourself in 4 years?
So we have a vision 2024 for our company. We want to be the market leaders in mobility devices in India and build one of the most prominent brands, trusted brands in the world. So we would, I look at Arcatron to have built a one-of-kind company, which is selling products at a market leadership position, not only in India, but in different parts of the globe, and making India known for high quality products and not just, cheap products for which most parts of Asia is known for.
So Ganesh, I know we had a lot more to talk about, but we're approaching the 1 hour mark, and I want to get to rapid fire before, people may need to go to sleep after us. But if you had to change, let's say, 2 things, right, about this, if you had a chance to redo the entire thing once again, and you could only change 2 things, what are those 2 things you would change?
I would try and delay the small funding round and initially, not really try and underfund ourselves, and rather stick to our initial funding goal, the initial mistake that we did. Second, I would like we would have liked to build the sales engine much early on, uh, which we ended up doing just last year. That was something which, if we had focus early on, and if we knew that okay, even sales is hard, it's not just going to come on
Yeah.
its own, we would have done it much early on.
I completely agree with you. Many founders, right? They feel that the sales is always the last priority, right? क्योंकि वो तो हो जाएगा. Let's build a perfect product. If the product is perfect, the sale will happen. But I've always been a firm believer that just keep selling, right? Keep upgrading, keep iterating. But if you don't sell, you're just building for yourself. You have no idea what the market is looking for, and you're just in your own room, in your own cocoon, trying to think that this is the perfect product. But you have to actually get out there, and it's only when the rubber meets the road that you know whether your product's really solving the problem that you intend for it to solve. In that
Absolutely.
sense, but
And
it's
I guess we
I
don't
know there's a
even
lot. Sorry, you were saying, yeah,
no no I said I think we don't even read enough history to understand that. So Otto Rohweder in 1910 invented sliced bread, and for 15 years nobody knew it, nothing happened. He just made a beautiful patent out of it. So until Wonder came along and figured out how to spread that idea, there was zero impact. We would have never known
yeah.
that bread existed. Same is with any innovator. We can develop
Same is with
whatever.
McDonald's, right? And I mean, the McDonald brothers could not make it big, and then
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. So Ray Kroc had to come around, and then obviously he made it into what it is today. So, and before we go into rapid fire, one last question from my end, and I know there's a lot of people asking questions. Unfortunately, we'll take a couple right towards the end. But one question that I had is one thing that you believe worked for you, and because it's very rare to see four co-founders go through so much as a group. They've all come out, right? I know you've had your own personal challenges as well, but what was one thing that made sure that you are alive, and you are obviously alive and kicking today? But what is that one thing from the very beginning that ensured that you got there today?
So I think choosing a mission that you really believe in. I mean, I know it's a cliche, but it's actually very, very important. Because when life hits you hard, you need something to fall back upon. I mean, what makes family a family is you cannot really have one small fight and run away from it.
Yeah,
Even marriage, for that matter, is a different commitment. Same is with building companies. So if you're really working on something that you want to see it happen, you want to make that happen, and you really believe in it, that is what keeps you together. And I think we really picked something we deeply believe in, so whatever happens, we are willing to persevere and fight through, and come back and get back to work. I think that has worked for us like nothing else has.
great answer. I think having that mission definitely binds the team together, and like you said, keeps it together even in the most trying of times. So thank you, Ganesh. I'm going to take you quickly to rapid fire. If anybody has any questions, please put them in the comment section. I'll try to take a couple at the end. I know people are really enjoying this conversation. We've had a lot of interaction, but I will take it towards the end. Let me just get to rapid fire with Ganesh. Ganesh, I know you know a little bit about it, but I'll just take you through the rules. There'll be about 10 to 12 questions. Whatever first comes to mind, you have to blurt it out. There's no thinking involved, right? And maybe you'll take us through some more interesting facets about your journey. Are you ready?
Sure. Let's
Cool.
get
The
started.
first question, the Peter Thiel question. One thing that you know to be true, but very few people agree with you on this.
Okay. So learning from experience is actually, many people say that that's the best way to learn. But I believe it is the slowest way to learn. Even though it's like the most foundational way to learn, it is the slowest way to learn. So I
What
like
what
to
what do you believe is the best way to learn?
uh, if you figure out the right sources or the right people to follow in any particular domain, and figure out the kind of books you can find in any particular domain, it's a great hack, and can solve you a lot of trouble, because many other people have figured out something which you really don't need to reinvent. And if you try and learn everything by experience, it is going to take a lot of time. We really don't have that kind of time, or we are not intelligent to figure everything out on your own.
Life is too short to make all the mistakes in it, right? So it's better to
Absolutely.
borrow the learnings of somebody else's mistake and take it from there. Great learning there. When do you get your best work done? Morning, evening, night?
Mostly during evening. Actually,
Evening time.
I'm
Oh,
most productive in afternoons, but if you had to pick between
that's
morning and evening, it's evening.
okay. Well, you had any choice, but I guess So you think afternoon has been your best, right? Okay. What's the first name that comes to your mind when you hear the two words, which are successful entrepreneur?
Jeff Bezos.
Why Jeff Bezos?
He is been a force of nature. I mean, the more I read into Amazon's story, he's done certain things which are unbelievable, like working on thin slimy margins while being a public listed company for a decade, and while making others believe that this thing is going to work in sometime in the future. And after working with Amazon, being a seller there, I love the way their logistics work. I mean, they're actually a logistics company morphed as a e-commerce company. The kind of distribution problems they have solved from a global angle, the more insights you get into it, that is phenomenal. I mean, and I read into what took and how hard it was for them to build those systems, and actually get the coordination done across so many warehouses across the world, and making it all seamless. All of that seems to be like very, very hard problems to solve, and been
No,
very.
he's been a fantastic entrepreneur, right? All the way through. I think even when everybody believed that his company was overvalued and was going to die, to keep it alive and to keep it going, and then obviously today he's dominating. But he deserves it. I think he's if you endured for 22 years, 25 years, somebody's the entire world believing that you're fit to die. I think you're allowed to dominate after that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
One piece of advice to founders about fundraising. Any founder who's tuned in right now, what would be one piece of advice you would give them?
Not really with respect to fundraising, right? In general.
In respect to fundraising, let's say the activity of fundraising, if there's one piece of advice you would give them, what would that be?
So, with respect to fundraising, if you have a choice, try and work with the investor, and get someone on board whom you really respect, and whom you would like to treat as a partner, rather than just as a someone who's putting in money, because it's a lot about setting the right expectations much early on, because you need to be really sure that the investment is coming to fulfill a dream that is highly the risk reward ratio is really in the favor, where you need to be aligned at least early on before the fundraisers happen. So set the right expectations in one line.
One thing that you would like to change about the Indian startup ecosystem?
Like I would like to actually do it ourselves, like build a very valuable company in our space, and make the entire space lucrative, rather than expecting someone else to change it, and then make a change out here. So if India, there's a shortage of, only now unicorns are becoming common, but even now the exits are not so big. Something happened today, even yesterday, CureFit, Tata Digital acquiring a couple of companies, 1mg today, but these are very, very small numbers. So more bigger exits need to come. The investor community, they need to look at startups as an asset class, which really hasn't happened, because only when retail investors get access to it and it gets accepted as an asset class, the change is going to come, because there's a lot of money, but regular people, they don't get to invest into startups. So the ratio of entrepreneurs to investors is really skewed in India, and that is not allowing a lot of entrepreneurs to show their potential and really get ahead. And that can't happen without exits and without startups becoming a asset class and without retail investors coming in by virtue of some fund. So sorry for a complicated answer, but I guess I get the gist of it.
But I hope you will provide a big enough exit for all of us so that we can be the lesson to teach to everyone. Let's see. What are two things that are still on your bucket list?
Two things really, like, one is really building at least a couple of products within the Arcatron portfolio, which gets into the physical distribution platforms and in the most advanced economies in the world. So right now where we have reached is, okay, individual people have bought it from different parts of the world. It really not is comes across as a common product you can find abroad. So I would really like to see our product in the advanced economies in the world. And the second is the biggest which we have is to have Fredo at every home. So like one Fredo product in every home in India. So when that happens, that will be like the biggest impact, the most number of people impacted while during this journey. So Fredo at every home is the biggest wish we have.
Anything on your personal bucket list? One thing?
Not really. I mean, I would really like to go on a small space travel. Been very fascinating since childhood, and both Richard Branson and Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, I think they're doing cool stuff which can make it really possible, to look at Earth from a top view. That would be fascinating.
I bet, and I think give me a couple of years, we will get you. I'll at least get you connected to somebody who can take you to space.
Wow, good to hear. I believe it's one of our portfolio companies.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, I've finished my list of questions, but I cannot let you go without asking this question, because you mentioned and talked about your voracious reading ability. What are 3 books you would recommend to any founder to read?
Hard Thing About Hard Things by Ben Horowitz. And then there is Influence. And then the latest I read was the Everything Store.
The Everything Store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazon story.
And I think, while I'm really over with my questions, and we're very seriously over time, but I'm going to take one last question from Dipali Tiwari. Dipali Tiwari asks, what is the best habit millennials should develop? Or what is the one habit a millennial should develop?
I think best habit would be focusing on your mental wellness, like meditate as much as possible. I would like to explain why, because now the biggest technology companies are trying to hijack your attention. Like the whole, the motive of Google and Facebook is to somehow get into your timelines and then show you an ad and monetize it. So it's all well engineered when you're not able to leave your phone from your hand. If you look at your screen time, it's going high. So we need to focus more on our mental wellness. One of the best ways to do it is by virtue of meditation.
Great answer. Thank you so much, Ganesh. I know we've taken up an extra 15 minutes, but I think the story definitely had to be told. So thank you very much for your time. Any final thoughts before we close for the night?
No, Anirudh, thanks for the opportunity. Really enjoyed talking to you, and really gives me admiration of how you find time to run a podcast while running a 200 crore fund, and you wear so many hats. That's inspiring to see. Because it's been a smooth experience so far while we do this talk. So good to see. Keep the good work on.
I think we're motivated by things beyond money, and I think that's why even right now talking to you, I'm getting more energized, because just learning more about your story. I mean, I knew parts of your story, but Now, when you hear the entire story, this is what keeps me going every single morning. It's entrepreneurs like yourself. So, thank you very much, Ganesh. Thank you everyone who's tuned in. I know we had a lot of questions, a lot of interaction, and thank you very much. And we'll see you again next week, next Thursday, 9 p.m.
Thanks a lot. Bye bye. Good night, everyone.
Bye.